I've struggled a lot with suicidality ever since I was young.
Oh yeah.
I think, and I'm at a point in my life right now, as established in the previous episode, I'm like in my spiritual journey and everything, and like just trying to understand myself a little more. I think that's where it comes from. Karena aku dari kecil, I've always struggled with suicidality, and I think it comes from a place of, this is the number one question I guess everybody has is like, what happens to us after we die? Like, what's, is there an afterlife? Like, do we go to heaven? Do we go to hell? My belief was always that, no, like, we just disappear.
Tahu nggak Tuhan ada? Nggak tahu. Tapi nggak ada salahnya kalau lu mau percaya itu. Tapi kalaupun nggak juga, I don't see anything wrong with it.
Aku benci banget this idea yang namanya kristenisasi. Karena itu pemaksaan untuk orang lain percaya apa yang kita percaya. Nobody cares what you believe. Nggak ada orang yang peduli apa yang lo percaya. Tapi semua orang peduli bagaimana lo hidup.
Aku sih lebih sering waktu aku masih kecil suka ditanya, kalau kamu tidak percaya sama Tuhan, kok kamu punya moral?
Nah, morality juga.
Yeah. But that's, morality and life purpose are different. But like that's, But if we're talking about life purpose, Tuhan itu terlalu gede untuk diboxkan ke cuma beberapa organized religion. Religion is meant to be a guideline, but it's not an instruction manual. A lot of people.
Hai, gue Brian. Welcome to our safe space. Tempat aman di mana kita bakal ngobrol hati ke hati, ngomongin semuanya dari tantangan kehidupan dan perjalanan iman dengan satu tujuan, agar lu selalu ingat kalau Tuhan sayang banget sama lu. Sebelum kita ngobrol-ngobrol hari ini dengan temen gue yang spesial banget, jangan lupa subscribe YouTube channel ini ya dan share ke semua teman-teman kamu. Well, tanpa lama-lama lagi, enjoy! What's up guys? Welcome back to Safe Space.
What's good y'all? It's your girl in the G in the house, and we're back with another episode of Safe Space with Brian Siowarda. And Angga.
Yeah.
Right. I will remember that from now on.
Mr. Angga Avila.
Yeah.
Avicii.
Angga Avila Avicii?
No.
No. I know, I get the joke.
Alright, second time kedatangan representative dari. Thank you for being here since last week. It's fresh to have an agnostic perspective di tempat ini. And kita kedatangan hari ini tambah satu lagi. Angga mungkin udah banyak yang tahu, udah ada beberapa episode yang kita bikin bareng.
Yep.
And sejak saat itu katanya merubah hidup lu ya, enggak ya?
Lumayan.
In a good way or bad way?
The follower counts.
Kemarin Angga bilang gini ke gue, Bri, gue ketemu orang kerja, ketemu orang buat bisnis.
My
kan?
client.
Yeah.
Terus dia bilang gimana?
I saw your podcast.
Yeah, welcome to my world. I get that all the time.
It was so weird.
Yeah, no, you'll get used to it.
Lu gak kehilangan jobnya atau dealnya?
No, it's just awkward.
Yeah, you'll get used to it.
Iya, by the way kalau ini lu harus ngomong jelas dikit biar suara seksi gue yang serak-serak bahasa itu kedengeran.
Yeah.
Oke, tapi to include Angga in this conversation gak lengkap kalau kita gak quickly go through karena Angga, as I've always said, adalah seorang lay theologian, berarti teologian awam, ya kan? As in gak pernah higher education secara formal, tapi setiap hari itu basically belajar teologi.
And actually, gue pernah publish 3 academic article.
3 academic article.
Up to date.
Artinya apa? Lebih pintar daripada gue, lebih ngerti Alkitab dan kekristenan daripada gue, cuma kagak punya sertifikat aja. Which doesn't matter in this context.
Yep.
Tapi juga yang kalian semua harus tahu, dan gue juga baru tahu just couple of bulan lalu kali ya?
Ya, bulan lalu.
Ternyata walaupun Angga adalah seorang Kristen teologian, tapi lu bilang ke gue apa? Lu adalah seorang?
I would classify myself. Kalau pakai terminologi umum, agnostic.
Agnostic. Yeah. Gue kasih itu untuk masuk ke otak yang lagi ngedenger semua teman-teman, karena buat gue sedikit masih nggak make sense. Kristen, agnostic.
Dan ada juga kok di luar sana Kristen tapi ateis.
Tapi bagi aku itu nggak terlalu membingungkan sebenarnya, itu agak masuk akal. Because I say the same thing when people ask me, kamu tuh agamanya apa, or like what's your spiritual background kayak gitu. Aku biasanya sih ngomongnya ya Buddhist, agnostic kayak gitu. Because the Buddhist part refers to how I grew up in a Buddhist household with Buddhist traditions and Buddhist rituals. Tapi agnostic itu lebih menyangkut kepercayaan aku, my framework of belief in this world. Ya nggak sih?
Tapi the fun thing itu kan kita terbiasa kayak langsung loncat nggak apa ya, agama harus ada Tuhan, tapi in Buddhism actually there is no God.
Yeah. Actually, that is for some reason a lot of people get pissed at me when I say this, but like Buddhism itu secara teknis itu nggak percaya Tuhan. Like Buddhism itu it's a way of life, gaya hidup. It's a gaya hidup. It's more of like philosophy. It's not really so much religion, but
Eastern philosophy. Tapi di Eastern philosophy kan filsafat timur, tapi orang Barat bilangnya itu agama.
Iya. Tapi kalau di dalam konteks Indonesia ada, aku lupa siapa yang ngomong ke aku kayak gini. Tidak harus agama mungkin orang pikirnya itu agama percaya Tuhan, tapi di Indonesia itu there are 5. Correct me if I'm wrong. There are six. Oh ya, Confucianism's in there, right? And Confucianism itu bukan agama, nggak ada percaya Tuhan sama sekali. Hindu ada multiple gods. Kalau Buddhism itu enggak, Confucianism itu enggak. Tapi karena kalau di Indonesia kan, usually people say there's like the 6 recognized religions. Tapi sebenarnya kan kalau dalam bahasa Indonesia, correct me if I'm wrong, kepercayaan, bukan bukan agama.
Agama dan kepercayaan.
Iya, agama dan kepercayaan itu
banyak
dianggap synonymous with each other, I guess, right? So, I mean, it still counts.
Yep.
It's interesting karena kalau dipikir-pikir gitu, jangan-jangan gue juga Kristen agnostik karena dari stance gue selalu unpopular opinion bagaimana gue memandang kepercayaan gue adalah gue selalu fokus dan memegang erat yang namanya sosok yang namanya Tuhan Yesus Kristus yang gue percaya sebagai Tuhan. Tapi yang lain gue pegang secara held loosely hal-hal agamawi lainnya, sehingga bahkan untuk orang Kristen mungkin terutama dari background yang lebih tradisionalis akan bilang gue sesat, gue nggak masuk dalam box yang namanya kekristenan ini. Dan gue sendiri juga selalu bilang bahwa Tuhan itu lebih besar daripada sebuah agama, lebih besar daripada kotak yang namanya kekristenan. Jadi gue menemukan Tuhan lebih besar daripada kotak kekristenan. Kalau gue udah keluar dari kotak itu, does it make me an agnostic? Definisinya apa? So maybe pembicaraan ini adalah apakah mungkin untuk kita, apapun iman kepercayaan agama kita, could we think God? Bisakah kita memikirkan dan percaya bahwa Tuhan itu lebih besar daripada itu? Apakah mungkin ternyata sebenarnya kita semua, bukan kita semua, tapi banyak dari kita tuh yang agnostik, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Karena banyak orang berpikir gini dalam iman. Ateis tuh kayak seakan-akan starting point ya. Kayak perjalanan iman tuh kayak 0 sampai 100. Kalau 0 ya ateis namanya. Kalau 50 itu agnostik. Ntar kalau udah sampai 100, udah sampai goalnya, lu udah punya Tuhan, lu punya agama, lu punya iman dengan kuat. Itu baru lu orang yang soleh, beriman, taat. Nah, lu tinggal subscribe aja. Jalannya kan ada 6 tuh. Lu pilih yang mana. But what if the state of being agnostic, menjadi seorang agnostik yang mempertanyakan, yang tidak percaya akan Tuhan, spiritualitas, tapi tidak terlalu mengekang dia dalam sebuah agama. Is it okay? Apakah nggak apa-apa nggak sih untuk berada di stage itu? Dan itu bukan stage transisi. Is it okay to always be an agnostic forever? Is it okay untuk kita memegang agama kita, Kristen misalnya, dan tetap menjadi Kristen agnostik?
Mungkin lebih baik lebih baik dijelasin dulu berarti. Ateisnya apa, agnostik, teis kan. Kalau yang kayak tadi lu bilang itu kan berarti misalnya Yesus, lalu lu percaya Tuhan itu lebih besar dari agama, berarti itu kan percaya adanya higher being, adanya Tuhan. Itu kan teis. Kalau ateis, itu kan apa kayak menyangkal, bukan anti sih, tidak ada. Jadi kalau ateis itu melihat ya sudah pasti Tuhan nggak ada. Jadi kalau teis itu seakan-akan tahu Tuhan pasti ada, ateis Tuhan pasti nggak ada. Kalau agnostik itu memilih posisi lebih ya nggak tahu Tuhan ada atau nggak. Iya,
kalau
cuman
tadi sama-sama titik ya.
Betul. Cuman kalau agnostik kecenderungan dalam versi gua misalnya ya mungkin Tuhan ada, mungkin Tuhan nggak ada. Gua nggak tahu Tuhan ada atau nggak ada.
Coba lu explain dikit posisi lu. Tadi kan gua udah explain nih kira-kira my snapshot belief system gue. Kalau belief system lu kayak apa sebagai Christian agnostic?
Ya kan aku kan tumbuh besar Kristen, satu titik pernah tidak lagi percaya. Not gue pakai kata-kata percaya ya, bukan tahu. Jadi bukannya tahu nggak tahu, tapi percaya nggak percaya. Tapi kalau dulu tuh percayanya kayak yakin Tuhan pasti nggak ada. Lalu balik jadi Kristen, belajar Kristen kan, belajar, dan sampai ke titik di mana kalau soal tahu nggak tahu Tuhan ada, kita nggak bisa tahu. How?
Betul.
Tuhan nggak kelihatan. Terus untuk kita di zaman sekarang ngebayangin ada miraculous being spiritual, itu kan sesuatu yang nggak bisa kita comprehend dan kayaknya jauh ya. Kalau orang tua kita mungkin atau dulu yang memang dunianya begitu, sains nggak kayak sekarang, lebih mudah untuk percaya miracles ya. Nah makanya gue ngambil keputusan, bukan keputusan juga ya, this is just how it is. Realitanya gue bisa percaya, tahu nggak Tuhan ada? Nggak tahu. Tapi di dalam keputusan iman ya memilih untuk percaya di dalam kepercayaan tradisi Kristen. Yang melihat ada loh Tuhan gini. Tapi itu bukan gua tahu Tuhan ada. Gua simply hoping and having faith in that. Beda kan?
I can get with that.
You get with that, right? So ada artis datang, Tuhan nggak ada. Yeah, I can't prove it. I don't know. Tapi I have belief that in Christianity,
it's basically Christianity but ingrained with Stoicism essentially when you think about it.
Oh yeah, it could be. I don't know.
I guess you could put it that way. I guess that's how I see it.
Yeah.
It's a more, I think, Stoic approach.
Dari mana stoiknya?
Stoic because of what's the word in Indonesian? Berserah? Not berserah, sorry. I think that's the wrong word. But as in to say like what you were saying, how you don't know whether or not God, like the Christian idea of a God is real, but it's just that the only thing, and you can't do anything about that other than to just have faith that perhaps that version of a Christian God is out there. Is that what you're saying?
It would, tapi lebih positif ya. Maksudnya lebih kayak di dalam realita bahwa setiap kita kan hidup dengan upbringing masing-masing ya. Terutama di Indonesia, kenapa banyak orang sangat religius karena memang dibesarkan dalam environment yang seperti itu. Bahkan ketika seseorang menolak agamanya, agama yang ditolak itu satu bentuk agama yang dimana dia benci. Umumnya kan seperti itu. So, dan maksud gue kebenaran agama itu bukan semata-mata kita bisa buktiin ini benar dengan pembuktian because you will never be able to do that. And tapi nggak ada salahnya kalau lu mau percaya itu, tapi kalaupun enggak juga I don't see anything wrong with it.
Gue lihat lagi memproses karena ya yang lu cara pikir lu juga, gue juga begitu. I'm like, what do you mean? Isn't that called faith? That's how. Yeah, gue nggak bisa gue nggak bisa memastikan Tuhan ada. Gue selalu bilang, I can't prove him. I do at the very end of the day. Gue nggak tahu dia atau enggak, dan gue nggak bisa buktikan. Tapi gue memilih untuk percaya. Iya kan?
And that's
kalau buat definisi gue sih gitu doang.
Well, and that's the Stoic.
Tapi esensi dari setiap iman kan sebenarnya seperti itu. Kita percaya, at least dari upbringing gue, kita bilang ada yang namanya iman kan, faith. It's to choose to see, to choose to believe something that you don't see. Memilih untuk percaya sesuatu yang kita tidak bisa lihat, kita tidak bisa yakinkan, tapi kita percaya gitu. I think esensinya sih di situ. Bedanya mungkin beberapa orang itu death-centered, sangat-sangat fanatik dan sangat-sangat memfokuskan seluruh kehidupannya lewat sudut pandang itu saking sempitnya sehingga tidak bisa melihat dari sudut pandang yang lain atau menjadikan sudut pandang yang lain itu musuh gitu.
Ya karena jadi isunya kan ya ini kalau misalnya kita ngomong agama ya, berarti jadi kayak ngomongin agama, memang agama buat apa gitu? Ngerti gak maksudnya? Pertanyaannya apakah agama, ketika aku percaya, misalnya orang Kristen kan ya, percaya Kristen itu karena percaya sama kepercayaan ini, lalu kalau udah percaya, udah benar, so what? Masuk surga. Kalau misalnya dalam Buddha gitu kan percaya, kan aku udah percaya Buddha ABC 1, 2, 3 nih rule-nya kan.
Dan reincarnation.
Ya apakah karena aku percaya ini, lalu aku nanti reinkarnasi, apakah itu the essence of religion? Because I don't think so gitu. I don't think so.
Menurut lo apa esensinya?
Ya kalau percaya sesuatu itu kan yang esensinya bukan, misalnya kekristenan percaya Yesus Tuhan, Allah Trinitas dan sebagainya. Yang penting itu bukan aku percaya sama proposisi ini kan, tapi
karena aku percaya.
Iya, what happens?
Itu yang Coki bilang. Coki, kalau ada Coki sih seru sih di sini. Hari ini dia nggak ada, tapi tambah lagi seorang ateis kan, udah ada agnostik tambah ateis. Dia bilang gini, kenapa gue memilih untuk ateis? Salah satunya adalah apapun yang lu percaya, dia bilang lu mau percaya Tuhan itu unicorn juga nggak apa-apa buat dia. but so what? Apa gunanya? Apa kontribusi bahwa lu udah percaya hal itu? Terus bagaimana lu akan menghidupi hidup lu sesuai dengan kepercayaan lu? Dia bilang, gue cuma cukup ngejudge dari situnya aja. Mau lu percaya unicorn selama itu membuat lu menjadi orang yang baik dan berkontribusi kepada masyarakat, buat teman-teman di sekitar lu kehidupan jadi lebih baik. Sok monggo lu mau percaya apa aja gitu kan. So ya bener sih.
Ini kan tadi Indah bilang soal di bawah. Kayak you don't hate religious people, you have religious hypocrites.
Yes.
Oke, berarti di sini kita membedakan dua hal nih. Apa yang kita percaya dan bagaimana kita hidup.
Apa yang kita what we
believe
in
and how do we live.
That belief.
That belief.
Right? For sure.
Dan gue selalu bilang ke orang, makanya gue benci banget this idea yang namanya kristenisasi. Karena itu pemaksaan untuk orang lain percaya apa yang kita percaya. Teorinya, kepercayaannya. Tapi gue selalu bilang gini, nobody cares what you believe. Nggak ada orang yang peduli apa yang lu percaya. Tapi semua orang peduli bagaimana lu hidup. Dan apa yang lu percaya telah mengubah, bagaimana hal itu mengubah hidup lu. Dan kalau kita semua, apapun iman kepercayaan kita, tidak fokuskan terlalu kepada apa yang kita percaya. Bukan nggak fokuskan, artinya jangan difokus ke sana. Boleh fokus ke sana, tapi jangan cuma sampai situ. Gue percaya Tuhan Yesus adalah Tuhan. Kalau cuma sampai situ, what's the point? Tapi, dan karena gue percaya itu, maka hidup gue harus seperti ini. Pragmatiknya kan. I think kalau di Indonesia aja kita semua bisa lebih pragmatis dalam approach keagamaan kita, apapun siapapun kita percaya Tuhan, tapi yang penting outworkingnya kita fokus kepada humanity, I guess. I love the idea humanity above religion.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Karena kalau dari sudut pandang agama gue, that's what the version of the God, versi Tuhan yang gue percaya Tuhan Yesus itu meninggikan kemanusiaan lebih tinggi daripada agama. Dan gue rasa kalau di setiap agama kita punya cara pikir seperti itu, I think tempat ini, negara ini akan jadi tempat lebih baik gak sih?
And a lot more tolerant nation, that's for sure.
Mungkin aku punya satu pertanyaan ke Indah, bisa ya?
Gas.
Biasanya kan orang bilang kayak gini ya, fungsi agama selain itu juga fungsi agama memberi makna.
The function of religion is to give meaning.
Kayak untuk orang Kristen, ini kan kita kebetulan Kristen ya, umumnya dibilang ya kalau life has ultimate meaning, kita punya makna ultimat karena ya kita ada Tuhan gitu. Kalau nggak ada Tuhan, nggak ada afterlife, nggak ada kehidupan kekal, semuanya kan nggak ada makna karena after we die it's over. Dan sepenangkapan gue, you used to be some kind of an atheist or agnostic.
For the longest time, my entire life, that's what I always thought. That's what I always thought. That's what I always believed in. That what happens after the number one question I guess everybody has is like, what happens to us after we die? Like what's, is there an afterlife? Like do we go to heaven? Do we go to hell? My belief was always that no, like we just disappear.
And apakah berarti hidupmu tidak bermakna?
Depends on, well, I mean, that's when we enter philosophy, right? Because I'm sure you're familiar with like nihilism and what's existentialism, and it's like those are all, I guess, different frameworks of processing what you're just asking. So I guess it just depends the pribadi masing-masing sih. Tapi kalau aku pribadi sih, is the question what happens to us when we die?
No, it's just about life in general.
About life, that's a big question. I don't know where to start.
Kayak kan asumsinya kalau orang ateis bagaimana bisa kamu hidup senang, kan semuanya ini sia-sia, akan mati, in the end you will dead, so you don't know what is joy, love, meaning in life.
Aku sih I guess apa ya, kalau aku sih kan aku bukan ateis, aku kan agnostik. Aku rasa aku dari kecil itu lebih leaning towards being somebody agnostic. Tapi kalau dipikir-pikir sih sekarang aku lebih pemikirannya gaya cara seorang ateis sih kalau dipikir-pikir. Dimana aku tuh dari kecil, and to be honest I don't know if this is inappropriate to say on your show, I'm so sorry, but it's like I think that's also why I've struggled a lot with suicidality ever since I was young.
Oh yeah.
I think, and I'm at a point in my life right now, as established in the previous episode, I'm like in my spiritual journey and everything, and like just trying to understand myself a little more. I think that's where it comes from. Karena aku dari kecil, I've always struggled with suicidality, and I think it comes from a place of nihilism and just I always felt like ya ujung-ujungnya kita juga nanti mati terus abis itu udah kelar kayak like there's nothing. I disappear into fucking oblivion and that's it. You know what I mean? And I guess. Sorry, I don't know if I'm making any sense.
It makes sense, perfect sense.
Yeah, but that is what I've always struggled with, even up until I would say now, is finding purpose in life as somebody who grew up not having any spiritual compass, not having faith in anything or anybody but myself, and not really having a sense of there being anything worth to live for. That's why I was telling him of how lonely and like how heavy it feels, right? And how I don't want to feel like this anymore, but I still kind of feel like it, and I'm trying to get out of it. So yeah, that's just where I'm at. I don't think I'm answering your question. I'm so sorry.
No. Because karena kan jadi menarik kan, like this is like as if apakah berarti hidup itu hanya bermakna kalau ada so you have to have something to believe in. Yeah. Or some as if gini loh, this life is only. It's not real, it's just. Jadi hidup ini tuh cuma transitory sementara untuk sesuatu yang lebih besar.
I mean,
or kenapa enggak? Justru karena this is the life, the only life that we have. Oleh karena dia terbatas, makanya dia jadi berharga.
Gue sambil Indah mikir, gue coba nambahin dari gue punya ya. Kalau buat gue, mau hidup ini. Gue nggak setuju dengan statement itu karena bagi gue kalau memang gue hidup dan gue mati nggak ada surga dan nggak ada neraka.
I mean tadi statement bukan.
Iya bukan dari lo. It's a question kan. Tapi kayak question itu gue kalau karena bener-bener ada beberapa orang yang bertanya seperti itu. Kalau gue nggak setuju kenapa? Karena kalau hidup gue mati nanti gue akan hilang nggak masuk surga kan sampai situ doang. Dan it's great life man. Kalau gue bisa hidup seneng ya gue udah cukup gitu. Jadi bagi gue adanya Tuhan itu memang menambah makna. Tapi the point buat gue sih bukan itu. At this point gue juga gini. Kepercayaan gue tentang apa surga, apa neraka, seperti apa konsepnya bagaimana, itu juga evolve selama ini. Titik ini gue gak percaya surga seperti yang gue dulu percaya. Dan neraka, bahwa surga itu adalah awan-awan di mana malaikat main harpa, dan neraka itu adalah tempat di mana kita ditusuk dan dibakar selamanya kayak Tom and Jerry. Gue nggak percaya itu. Kepercayaan seperti apa surga dan neraka nanti mungkin kita akan punya sesi yang berbeda untuk orang-orang yang tepat, karena kalau gue sebut sekarang nanti akan off track dengan pembicaraan kita. Tapi menurut gue tadi sambil contemplating di episode minggu lalu pas Indah ngomongin how lonely it is, seberapa sepi rasanya untuk hidup sendiri tanpa memiliki sesuatu atau percaya sosok yang lebih besar, entitas yang lebih besar daripada kita, sosok supreme being Tuhan ini. Dan gue sadar, gue dari sambil ngobrol sama Indah di episode minggu lalu, gue sambil mempertanyakan, kenapa gue percaya apa yang gue percaya? Why does iman gue itu real for me? Dan gue sadar, kalau buat gue itu simple banget. Gue gak merasa gue orang teologian yang pintar dengan otak gue. Buat gue simple banget. Iman gue itu sangat pribadi, dan gue cuma bersyukur dan akan selalu memegang iman ini karena yang exactly what you said. Lu kasih gue enlightenment bahwa gue gak sendirian, bahwa hidup gue mau bermakna gak bermakna, hidup tuh susah men. It's flipping tough. Dan gue bersyukur banget gue punya Tuhan yang gue bisa pegang di situasi apapun. Dan kalau gue bisa bawa dia, kita selalu bilang di Kristen ya kayak Tuhan itu kasih, love. Tapi kalau gue pribadi, kalau gue bisa masukin dia ke dalam satu kata, mungkin yang paling tepat buat gue adalah hope, harapan. Bahwa iman gue terasa sangat real, terutama di momen-momen tersulit di hidup gue. Pada saat gue udah gak punya harapan, no matter how messed up, gak masalah seberapa hancur situasi gue dan diri gue selalu punya harapan yang gue bisa lari ke harapan itu, dan itu sustain gue untuk ngelewatin semua kehidupan gue. Dan kalau ternyata sampai nanti gue mati, kalaupun ternyata gak ada surga dan neraka, gue udah cukup bahagia karena adanya Tuhan di hidup gue membuat kehidupan gue yang neraka ini terasa seperti surga di saat ini. And buat gue itu udah enough. Nah tapi ada bonusnya, bukan, intinya adalah hope, harapan, Tapi bonusnya adalah yang lain-lainnya buat gue. Gue merasa dicintai, gue berasa hidup gue ada tujuannya, gue berasa I matter for someone, gue berasa paket lengkapnya tuh ada yang lain-lainnya. Tapi tengahnya itu, Big Mac-nya itu adalah harapan itu. Makanya kadang-kadang buat gue pribadi, gue gak tahu ini resonate dengan orang, kadang-kadang agak susah ngerasain Tuhan di happy pas kita lagi hidup baik-baik aja. Tendensi gue dan mungkin manusia adalah kalau lagi happy ya kagak perlu Tuhan. Terus kalau lagi susah, Tuhan Yesus, tiba-tiba doanya kenceng. Kalau lagi happy mah pasang musiknya ya, what's up. Lagi lagu apapun. Kalau lagi sedih, kalau lagi susah tuh lagunya lagi rohani terus sambil jalan nangis gitu kan. Jadi kadang-kadang gue appreciate momen-momen tersusah. Dan gue baru lihat Spotify playlist gue. Itu semuanya, bukan cuma Tuhan semua. Hillsong Worship, gue itu satu album Hillsong Worship, literally satu album itu ada 5 lagu, 4-nya di situ. Karena setiap kali gue masuk mobil, gue cuma puter lagu itu. Gue bahkan gak mencari lagu Kristen lainnya, satu lagu itu. Karena gue berasa kayak, I need this space, this environment. I just need God to be close cause I need you gitu kan. Jadi gue mulai appreciate momen-momen susah sih, karena buat gue harapan itu lebih berasa gitu. Jadi personal banget enggak?
Yeah.
Very personal.
I'm a very simple personal guy.
Back to your question of apakah kalau tidak ada a sense of spirituality susah mendapat makna untuk hidup. Am I saying that right? Sorry. Like, can you find meaning in life without a sense of spirituality essentially,
tanpa
right?
ada afterlife. Because that's what you said kan, karena habis ini udah gak ada apa-apa, so sometimes jadi susah cari purpose.
So it's like what is any of this for? Yeah. No, and for the longest time, even until now, in some parts, I feel that feel that way, and that's very interesting because my instinct when you asked that was, I don't think a sense of spirituality gives meaning to life per se, but it just makes life less lonely. And that helps you accomplish what anything else, like what am I trying to say here? I don't think a sense of spirituality has to give you meaning, and that's kind of hard to say, just because, like, I mean, people's interpretation of what it means to have meaning in life, I guess is too different. It's too different. I don't know if a sense of spirituality would give me meaning, purpose.
Yeah, purpose.
But I think for me, it wouldn't give me purpose because I know what my purpose is, but it would just make getting to that purpose less lonely.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Yeah, because now I'm also thinking, like, as someone, and a lot of people ask me this, like, so Inda, as somebody who doesn't adhere to religion and, you know, has very little to no sense of spirituality growing up, like, what is your life purpose?
Itu pertanyaan yang pasti muncul.
Jadi lu life purpose-nya itu apa, kayak gitu. And I guess to be so blatantly honest, I think for the longest time it's just to, like, it's the shallow things, like
getting rich.
Yeah, getting rich, make money, get good grades.
Let's go.
All the superficial stuff, right? And, like, you know, one could argue that is meaning, and, you know, life purpose. Your life meaning is whatever you want it to mean.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are complacent in letting their life purpose and their life meaning be in the pursuit of getting rich, in the pursuit of fame, in the pursuit of wealth, in the pursuit of academic merit. But, and this is, you know, where we enter the gray area here, but is that the correct purpose and the correct meaning that you should have in your life? But that's also hard to say because right or wrong is subjective. So we're just going in circles here, dude. Yeah.
So that's a valid question, right?
Yeah, very, very valid question, and something that I've been contemplating myself for like very, very recently.
Soalnya menariknya gini, kan tadi kita ngobrol kayak you went to Loyola, Ignatius of Loyola kan?
Yeah, sekolah Jesuit.
So the Ignatian traditions itu bilang you can contemplate and have joy in mundane things.
You can atau cannot?
You can.
Yeah,
dan bagi mereka misalnya kita ngelihat matahari, feel merasakan hangat sinar matahari di kulit kita, hal kecil itu, dan itu adalah like life, the whole life, the simplest things itu kan gift of God for them.
Betul.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it's just about like being grateful, present, mindful, and that translates nggak necessarily you have to believe in the greater being, tapi you can find meanings, joy, kayak as if life itself is the meaning.
Yes. Yes, I think I would agree with that. Yeah.
Gue kalau lagi nonton anime itu kayak berasa mini hidup gue banget sih.
Gue lagi nonton AOT.
Lagi AOT last final episode. Tapi ya lucunya ya buat gue ya, gue tuh here's another conversation ngomongin mundane things. Dulu gue memulai perjalanan spiritual gue dengan percaya bahwa setiap dari kita punya tujuan yang sangat besar dan grand, dan kita dipanggil untuk melakukan hal-hal yang incredibly change the world. Everyone will know Jesus, semua akan tahu Tuhan Yesus lewat kehidupan kita and shine God's glory dan lain-lain. Semakin gue jalan, semakin gue menghidupi dan mengejar, gue semakin sadar bahwa intinya bukan di situ. Karena dalam momen kehidupan gue berkali-kali gue melakukan kesalahan di mana gue mengejar tujuan hidup lebih daripada Tuhan itu sendiri. Dan semakin gue berjalan, semakin gue sadar bahwa kayaknya buat gue tujuan hidup itu lebih simple banget. Mungkin kalau kita nggak masukin elemen Tuhan di dalamnya, tujuan hidup adalah untuk menikmati hidup, hal-hal kecil yang tadi dibilang. Tapi buat gue, di mana gue punya keimanan menjadi bagian besar dalam kehidupan gue, maka tujuan hidup gue adalah simply menikmati hidup bersama dengan Tuhan, untuk menikmati bagaimana sesosok orang supreme being ini mencintai gue di dalam kekurangan gue, dan dalam proses itu gue yang menerima cintanya, belajar untuk mencintai orang-orang di sekitar gue, and that's it. It's quite simple, mundane, dan hidupnya lebih enak tau gak sih daripada kayak hidup dengan this idea. Gue gak bilang berarti kita gak punya tujuan yang lebih grand. I think setiap dari kita punya dalam kapasitas bentuk masing-masing. Tapi that's not the point menurut gue ya. Ya hidup itu dijalanin, di enjoy aja bagi gue gitu. Dan kadang-kadang justru di hal-hal kecil itu yang gue akan melihat dan merasakan Tuhan. Kayak gue dari dulu selalu ngerasain Tuhan kalau lagi nonton film. Something is wrong about me, but that's me. I relate to God kalau lagi nonton film. Gue bisa dapet kayak, oh my gosh, kayak gue bisa kayak ngebayangin konsep, kita bilangnya revelation gitu. Kayak there's like, Tuhan tuh kayak gini gitu kalau lagi nonton. Kayak terakhir nih, Doraemon. You know guys, Doraemon?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Right. This idea, gue pas gue lagi ngelihat Doraemon, gue kayak, gila, kita tuh kayak Doraemon banget buat gue. Where we Doraemon, si Nobita lemah. Kita Nobitanya kayak Nobita tuh lemah, bego, selalu kalah, being beaten sama si Giant, Suneo dan lain-lain, always have trouble in life. Tapi ada seseorang yang namanya Doraemon yang choose to be with him, walaupun Doraemon doesn't have any reason to be with Nobita, but he choose to stick with Nobita, and he makes Nobita's life better. Hidupnya jadi lebih baik. Nobita bisa survive kehidupannya dan bisa melakukan hal-hal, mencapai mimpinya karena bantuan dan presence Doraemon dalam hidupnya. Dan perbedaan Doraemon si Nobita ini sama anime-anime lainnya, kayak kalau nonton anime kayak One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, itu perjalanan dari seorang bocah yang akhirnya menjadi kayak seseorang yang hebat, this heroic journey growth. Mulainya cupu, endingnya suhu gitu. Tapi si Nobita ini mulainya cupu dan endingnya tetap cupu. And gue kayak, that's okay to be cupu. That's okay untuk gak menjadi baik-baik aja. That's okay untuk gak menjadi luar biasa. Kenapa? Karena gue punya Tuhan yang luar biasa gitu kan. Balik lagi, itu a sense of hope. Jadi buat gue personal banget gitu. So that's for me the meaning of my life.
Okay, well on the topic of, on the topic of life, the only thing, this is very interesting.
I mean, sorry, I don't know. Ini make sense nggak untuk?
No.
See?
Yeah, itu buat gue.
I get it. I mean, like,
it's all personal.
Personal perspektif banget.
Maksudku cuman kayak I get where you come from.
Yeah.
Aku ngerti kamu ada dari mana ya. Tapi di satu sisi tadi aku pas gue denger itu gue kayak I don't think kayak nggak make sense at all ya.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It doesn't make any sense, but that's also okay because not everything has to make sense.
That's why I'm just asking kayak what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean none of what you said resonates with me, bro.
Yeah, it's fine.
Tapi yang aku baru belakangan ini something that I've learned very recently. I mean, I think subconsciously I've always known it from the very beginning. I think it's just more so like I filmed an episode recently where a friend of mine told me this, di mana life purpose itu tidak bisa, seharusnya life purpose-nya kamu itu bukan sesuatu yang kamu bisa mencapai. Karena life purpose-nya kamu, dan itu relevan dengan topik episode yang kemarin itu karena soal mental illness dan suicide and how a lot of people, apalagi di kaum lansia, lansia di mana mereka rasanya sudah mencapaikan semuanya, like I've saved enough to retire, my kids are doing this, like they've moved out, they're married, blah blah blah, and then they just feel like they run out of their life purpose and then they get depressed and suicidal. Jadi makanya kita bahas itu di mana mungkin salah satu cara untuk menghindari itu adalah life purpose-nya kamu itu tidak boleh sesuatu yang bisa dicapaikan. Misalnya banyak orang nih life purpose-nya mereka it's usually very something materialistic and shallow, right? Mencapaikan 100M, menjadi billionaire atau like a trillionaire, punya tinggal di mansion yang gede, dan apa yang terjadi pas kamu udah mencapaikan semua itu, karena because those are things that are quantifiable and like you could, like there is like a clear cut finish line, like when you get there, and then what happens when you get there? You just lose your purpose in life, and then you spiral into suicidality, and then what, you want to kill yourself? Like that can't be it, right? So something that I've learned recently is untuk mencari makna, mencari life purpose yang aku akan harus terus menerus, that I'm always have to keep searching, and like I can never get there. So for me, I think recently I think my life purpose would be, I'm kind of living my life purpose right now actually, because I'm thinking, well, I like to talk and I like to read, so it's to talk to every single person in this world and to have a conversation about everything with everybody, and to read every single book that is out there. And that is humanly impossible, but that's what keeps me going. And I think it's just the reason why nothing you said just now resonates with me, because like I think I'm just the type of personality, I need something that's like more material, you know what I mean? It's like more material, it's more tangible, and like to me that makes more sense. It just makes more sense. That's also the problem. I need everything to make sense, but not everything makes sense.
Not everything makes sense.
Yeah, you're dead as the in between of both of us. Physically and
but I kind of
ENFP,
ENFJ,
INTP.
That's so interesting.
INTP.
Soalnya maksud, cause I feel like this whole question jadi kan resonate-nya kayak each and every one of us itu berangkat dari posisi yang completely different. Upbringings. The only reason Brian bisa ngomong I can't feel God presence when I misalnya lagi masuk nyanyi worship kan gitu kan, because I saw him in church and he enjoyed the worship session gitu. For me upbringing dari gereja yang lebih kaku, I've never feel God. Kayak worship atau kayak it's a very abstract notions gitu kan. While untuk kamu kan pasti kayak you don't even can imagine the existence of some greater being, right? And that makes it interesting. Tapi kayak what about life kayak apa? Karena asumsinya selalu lah kalau if you don't have God, why bother living? Toh nanti akan mati segala macam.
Aku sih lebih sering waktu aku masih kecil suka ditanya, kalau kamu tidak percaya sama Tuhan, kok kamu punya moral?
Nah, morality juga.
But that's, I mean, morality and life purpose are different. But like that's, But if we're talking about life purpose,
as if you need. As if God is only required. Kayak jadi di dunia sekarang itu Tuhan itu cuma dibutuhkan untuk kasih purpose sama moral compass kan?
Iya, dan kalau kita udah bisa mendapatkan purpose dan moral compass di luar Tuhan, jadi ngapain punya Tuhan?
And that's why statistically ini as far as I know di negara yang lebih developed religion kan decline.
It's post-Christian world. Untuk Amerika, untuk Eropa. Amerika is still there.
Germany,
Eropa udah post-Christian.
Singapore, Korea, Japan. Tapi Japan very spiritual sih.
Japan is very spiritual, but there's a difference between religiosity and spirituality.
Karena Kristen kita kan Western religiosity.
I think dari this conversations gue suka karena we're opening up a space dimana kita nggak harus box our spiritual journey, dan dari manapun kita yang sekarang ini lagi mendengarkan where we are at and where we are at di dalam perjalanan itu, dan kalaupun mungkin perjalanan kita bentuknya beda-beda, bahwa semuanya itu valid. Dan nggak semuanya itu harus bisa dibox dalam 6 agama. Kan kayak nge-track gitu kan.
Ya, itu sebenarnya yang aku awalnya ingin bilang. Sebenarnya the concept of organized religion in itself is antithetical to the concept of God.
Okay, let's talk about this.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Elaborate.
Ngerti sih kayak konsepnya Tuhan, can I say that? Like, do I say that? Like, konsepnya Tuhan, kalau dalam pendapatnya aku, Tuhan itu terlalu gede untuk diboxkan ke cuma beberapa organized religion. And also something that I hold very close to me. Like, I had this English teacher back in high school here, and he says to me something one time about how religion is man-made. It's your relationship with God that's what makes you a real Christian, a real Muslim, or just, I mean, like a spiritual person. It's just makanya juga aku tidak, walaupun aku dalam perjalanan journey untuk
itu bahasa Kristen banget.
Untuk eksplorasikan my sense of spirituality, aku kalau soal agama ya aku jujur aja aku bodo amat karena I don't see the point. Yeah. I don't see the point karena aku juga dari kecil aku melihat bahwa walau apa intinya untuk menaruhkan semua orang-orang ini di dalam box, orang-orang yang di dalam boxnya aja mereka nggak sama dengan they're not even the same. Yeah, they're not even the same with each other. Like, even, you know, the both of you, I guess technically I could call the both of you Christians, but even the both of you are not the same.
Yeah.
And you're not the same as like the other Christian next door, or like, you know, the other ones. And so I feel like I just don't see the point in organized religions, but that's just my personal opinion.
Community, friendships.
I mean, you know, you could argue like there is benefit to being part of an organized religion. Like
networking.
Definitely.
Networking.
Cari cowok, cewek.
Thinking like a true Chinese person. But I mean, of course, there's like the benefits of being part of an organized religion. And I think that's what I was telling you earlier on too. It's like growing up, I feel like I kind of missed out on that. Because I saw all my friends that were Christian, Catholic, Muslim, like they had a life outside of school. Yeah. They had a life outside of school. They had friends that were not from school. Yeah. And they had a sense of community. Like they would tell me about, you know, we show up to school and I'd be like, you know, what you do for the weekend? And they'd be like, oh yeah, no, I went to church and we had this party and it was great and I met all these people. I'm like, that's what you did? Yeah. You know, it's like, and I feel like waktu aku masih kecil, aku kehilangan, I missed out on that. I don't know how to say that in Indo. Yeah. Kayak
melewatkan itu.
Iya, kayak nggak punya pengalaman seperti itu. Kalau menurut aku sih pronya mempunyai agama itu cuma ya itu aspek komunitasnya. Okay. Kamu merasa
organized ya, agama yang organisasi.
On organized religion, the only pro that I personally see is the community aspect of it, of how not even just physically you don't feel alone because there are all these people that are part of your community, but also even just when you believe in a higher power, you believe in spirits that guide you or whatever, like it's also that you emotionally and mentally you don't feel alone as well. And that's for me what I've reconciled with in recent years is how I missed out on that aspect of feeling like I have community, and I never thought about it, or I refused to think about it because I always shoved it like to the very back end.
Just uncomfortable ya?
Super uncomfortable. Tapi ya emang like my entire life growing up with the way that I was living, it's very lonely. Yeah.
It's not too late. Come to church. We'll find you a husband. Salah satu pool terbaik untuk mencari pasangan katanya kan kalau di Indonesia di gereja-gereja besar ya. Cowoknya cakep-cakep, ceweknya cantik-cantik. Tapi gue setuju yang Indah bilang, community I think it's a very aspek yang sangat dibutuhkan untuk kita semua apapun agama kita.
Oh, bukan cuma komunitasnya aja. Aku baru ingat, aku di episode yang lama aku ngomong ini di mana when it comes to, sorry, because this relates to mental health.
Yeah.
Like the premise of it is, I mentioned how the one thing that I hate about the conversation of mental health in Indonesia is how a lot of people boils the conversation down to, oh, it's because you don't believe in God, kamu kurang iman,
kamu kurang doa,
kurang doa. Coba kamu baca Alkitab atau baca Quran lebih rajin kayak gitu, blah blah blah, right? And a lot of Indonesians, their misconception, where Indonesians often get it wrong is that they think, oh, because I believe in God. That God is going to protect me from mental illness and all of that kayak gitu. Padahal itu salah.
Betul.
Tapi when you put that against how there is substantial enough research to support how being a part of a religion, having religion, being a part of an organized religion, it actually helps in combating certain mental illness ailments. And the reason for that is not because you believe in God, it's because of the community aspect, but not just the community aspect. It's the lifestyle aspect. It's the lifestyle, because the lifestyle provides you routine. Nah itu juga like yang aku sangat suka tentang teman-teman aku in particular, I like this from like the Muslims. I notice my Muslim friends, karena kalau orang Islam kan biasanya kalian harus bangun jam jam 5, and it's like kalau dalam agama Islam itu berstructure, like there's structure to your everyday routine kayak gitu. And growing up, I had a lot of Muslim friends growing up, and I realized like why are they so much more put together than me? I'm a fucking mess. I wake up at like 12 in the afternoon kayak gitu. Bangun jam 12, I don't even know what day it is. Dan kalau dengan teman-teman Kristennya aku, dan mereka itu selalu punya agenda, mereka selalu punya kegiatan pas weekend. Aku kan kadang-kadang kayak bego banget, aku weekend I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I'm gonna watch Netflix or I'm gonna just like sleep all day. I don't know. Tapi kalau untuk teman-teman Kristennya aku, it's like okay, every Sunday like there's a structure. Like I know I'm gonna be in church, and and I think that helps because to some extent, no matter how much, there are certain personality types like me where I don't like to be confined to a routine.
But we actually need
Tapi humans need sort of like a baseline level of routine in order to know how to function. You know what I mean? Dan kalau menurut aku itu juga sesuatu benefit tentang agama itu mengkasihkan kamu rutin dan kamu tahu, you know what to expect tomorrow, the next day, next weekend. Seseorang seperti aku kurang. Gue suka banget yang Indah bilang, dan I wanna add on top of it, karena seringkali gue juga punya perspektif yang sama kayak Indah, kayak kita nggak percaya. Buat gue gue bilang gue selalu I don't believe in religion itu adalah man-made, buatan manusia, tapi Tuhan tuh lebih besar daripada itu. Tapi gue juga harus bilang bahwa itu nggak makes me anti-religion. Gue nggak anti dan kayak membenci organized religion.
I don't think you're anti-religion.
No, I am not anti-religion at all. But very recently that's been the narrative, and so hopefully if I put this out there,
kita perjelas di sini.
Perjelasin di sini. Like, dude, I'm not anti-religion. I'm anti.
Hypocrites. Anti orang munafik aja.
I'm anti you being hypocritical with your religious beliefs, and also I'm anti you shoving down your religious beliefs down my throat.
Right. Itu dia. Kalau buat gue nggak anti organized religion, nggak anti agama dan strukturnya, karena kita harus bilang bahwa struktur keagamaan itu sangat membantu. I mean, kita nggak akan dalam perjalanan spiritualitas mengerti Tuhan, there has to be a structure. Nggak mungkin nggak ada structure, maka akan sangat chaotic. Jadi kalau manusia membuat agama untuk mencoba mengerti Tuhan, ya bagus dong. Kita nggak mungkin bisa ngerti sains kalau nggak ada jurusan, nggak ada fisika, nggak ada kimia. It doesn't make sense. There has to be model, analogi, pengertian, struktur, tradisi, komunitas itu dibutuhkan untuk perjalanan iman itu. Tapi gue juga percaya something it works until it doesn't work. Itu berguna sampai itu nggak berguna. Maksudnya itu akan membuat sebuah baseline foundation yang, contoh deh, kalau hampir semua agama punya persepsi apa yang dosa dan nggak dosa, ya kan? Itu kan sebenarnya sebuah aturan hidup, sebuah guide gitu kan. Jadi lu ngelakuin ini, lu jangan ngelakuin ini. Which is important. Contoh, kalau kita punya anak kita masih kecil, kita bakal bilang kan, nah, jangan pegang api, jangan main pisau, jangan main gunting. Kenapa? Karena jangan tusuk ke orang, jangan dimasukin ke itu. Jangan nyebrang jalan, jangan nyetir mobil, jangan digas. Kalau anaknya masih kecil, kita butuh tataan hidup. Kita butuh struktur, apa yang boleh dan nggak boleh. Hitam atas putih, karena anak-anak nggak bisa berpikir dengan baik dan benar. Tapi kalau tetap masih sama instruksinya sampai anak itu umur 20 tahun, jangan pegang api. Jadi nggak bisa masak dong. Jangan nyebrang jalan. Jadi mau kemana? Jangan pegang gunting gitu kan, kayak struktur dan aturan dibutuhkan untuk membawa kita ke satu titik, tapi at a point akan ada tujuan bagi gue ya. Tujuan agama adalah kedewasaan spiritual. Dan pada satu titik yang tadinya membantu tiba-tiba jadi mengekang. Yang tadinya membantu tiba-tiba jadi membatasi gitu. Ini buat gue pribadi ya.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It works until a certain point, dan satu titik kalau buat gue sadar kayak Tuhan lebih besar daripada aturan-aturan ini. Dan di situ gue mulai mengorganize framework gue, kepercayaan gue, menata ulang, dan buat gue menemukan Tuhan tuh lebih besar daripada bagaimana orang-orang di sekitar gue atau pendeta gue ngejelasin dia tuh seperti ini dan segini. Ternyata tuh dia lebih besar. Dan di situ pada titik itu dan kedepannya agama gereja gue tetap berguna, ada elemen plus poinnya, tapi nggak berakhir di situ. Ada journey lebih besar, lebih tinggi yang gue jelajahi, dan ini udah lebih kayak ya udah lu mau jalan kemana, lu coba figure out sendiri aja dengan guidance yang lu udah punya selama ini gitu kan. Guidance gue adalah gue selalu pegang Tuhan Yesus, my belief in Him. Gue selalu tetap memegang erat Alkitab, walaupun cara baca gue, cara pengertian gue sangat berbeda sama dulu. Tapi experience gue, pembelajaran gue, sekolah ke Alkitab gue itu menjadi guidance. Tapi sekarang gue bisa kemana-mana, explore lebih besar gitu kan. I think that's the essence of spirituality, nggak bisa dibound.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah.
As we close this.
Spirituality definitely has no bounds. When it comes to religion, I guess in my opinion, basically the summarization of what you just said, religion is meant to be a guideline, but it's not an instruction manual. A lot of people,
it would go wrong.
Yeah, a lot of people, that's the fault of I would say a lot of societies around the world these days, where a lot of people adhere to religion as like an instruction manual that not only they themselves have to rigidly follow, but that everybody else.
You know what? Tahu singkatan Bible nggak?
Apa?
Huh?
You know what the Bible, singkatan dari Bible, B-I-B-L-E, Alkitab. Alkitab kan bahasa Inggrisnya Bible.
Yeah.
B-I-B-L-E.
You're shitting me. There is.
There's
a
not an official one. It's just
yeah, ada. B-I-B-L-E,
Yeah.
Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth. And that is so messed up. Ya kayak gue bilang, it's instruction kalau lu kecil oke. Tapi kalau di bawah sampai gede, evangelicals, man, di Bible itu ada, there's a part where you kill your enemy and rip open women's womb yang lagi hamil, dan bayinya lu hancurin dengan
Yeah.
And then everyone's fighting, nggak biblical. That's biblical. We want to kill now.
Yeah.
Continue your. Gue coba pengen
Yeah,
a little bit off tangent dikit.
No, that's really funny. But basic instructions before you leave Earth.
Before leaving Earth, ya. Bible.
Yeah, no. What was I saying just now? That
Kesalahannya adalah kalau kita terlalu religion tuh jadi kayak a rule book for everyone.
Yeah. And something that you said that reminded me of, I remember there was this poem back in there was this poem back in my English literature class back in high school. It's called Ars Poetica. If anybody wants to look it up, Ars Poetica by Archibald MacLeish. I think that's the name. I'm pretty sure it's Scottish. But isi poemnya itu basically, this is not of interest to anybody, but the point is the poem talks about, one of the things that is explored in the poem is how you could be reading or you could be observing the exact same thing, the exact same material thing, but that your understanding and your perception and your takeaways from that certain thing is going to change across time. Because there's something in the poem about how like the moon is constantly there, but depending on your position, like the moon looks different, or something like that. So it reminds me a lot of what you were saying, because a lot of my friends, they talk about how the version of them that read the Bible back when they were 13 had a very different takeaway of the Bible now that they're like 25, 26. Gitu. So it's also kalau yang aku dengar dari banyak teman-teman agamawi, aku terlepas dari apakah kamu Kristen atau Islam atau what other religions are there, Jewish, Judaism, tapi kalau menurut aku dan yang dikatakan teman-teman aku, banyak orang mereka baca buku agamanya mereka setiap hari, tapi mungkin lebih baik kamu bacanya like maybe like you revisit the Bible like every other year or two, because you know what I mean, because it's like you need the time for you to grow, to progress, for your mindset to change and for your perspectives to change, and so that you can have a different takeaway of the Bible. Trevor Noah, he said that about his grandmother, how his grandmother before she passed away, she's read the Bible throughout her entire life, like I think more than 20 times. Like she's revisited, but I mean she passed away at like 90 something, so she had like
a lot of time,
a lot of years, right? But that what Trevor Noah was saying, like what he found very interesting about his grandmother is that every time she revisits the Bible, like there's always new makna to take away from it, you know, because it's like a different version of her that is reading the Bible, the same Bible that has existed for how many years? I don't know.
2000 plus.
Yeah, that for like 2,000 years. It's the same text, it's the same book, but different takeaways every single time. Yeah, so
love it. There it is, spirituality. It's open, walk it out. Apapun kalian punya iman, agama, kepercayaan, mau ateis, mau agnostik dalam perjalanan ini, have fun, explore. Dan karena kita bisa lihat di tempat ini direpresentasikan dengan 3 orang dengan 3 experience yang berbeda, tapi kita masih bisa ngobrol, kita bisa nyantai, bisa nyaman, as long as there is a safe space di mana kita respect each other, walaupun kadang-kadang nggak resonate, but that's fine. Yang penting kita bisa mengekspresikan diri kita di antara percakapan ini. Gue yakin kalian ada takeaway, gue dapet takeaway banget, right? And jangan lupa komen apapun yang kalian pikirkan. If you have more questions, terutama mengenai agnosticism, ini menurut gue sebenarnya luas banget gitu kan, so we can talk more things. Indah juga kalau kalian request dia akan balik lagi,
of course,
with more stories,
with a lot more stories.
The next level of spirituality. Are you getting a new pet?
Am I getting a new pet?
Any dog?
No,
masih grieving period?
Definitely masih sangat grieving period, apalagi my mom.
But if you ever have one, what breed would it be?
My next dog breed, I guess I would like to try having a large dog.
Oh, not Chihuahua.
So my dog that passed away is a Shih Tzu.
Oh, okay.
German Shepherd.
Tiny one.
German Shepherds, I like Rottweilers.
Oof. Whoa. More like you.
Tapi itu, tapi yang belum siap lah. So, we'll see.
One day. Hey, thank you so much for coming. Thanks Indah, thanks Angga. Jangan lupa follow Instagram mereka
@Angga Avila.
It's Indah G.
Comment, subscribe, like, and see you guys in the next episode. Bye guys, thanks.